Here at the historic Farm Days, there's lots of historic events with the antique tractors, etc. But one that's been restored in recent years to look more like what it used to be is the one-room schoolhouse. And we have someone here who actually not only helped with the restoration stuff, but you actually went to this school. Tell us your name and what your connection with the farm show is.
Well, I'm Alan Thomas. I live in Ludlow, but we lived on the farm, raised on the farm, and this schoolhouse was actually on our property. And so I was still in grade school. Of course, I went to this school and went 2 years, and 7th and 8th grade when we moved on to this particular farm where this school was at. I'd gone to a previous one-room school about 2 miles away where we lived, but I went 2 years here and graduated from this grade school in 1948.
So how many people were attending this school at any one time?
There was somewhere between 18 and 22 total. It varied, maybe one or two kids, because you got to remember these are all farm kids, and so the farmers, you didn't just jump here and there and everywhere. They was pretty stable, and everybody had a family. So you probably, for the most part, you went through school with the same kids because they were neighbors and stuff. So it didn't vary, but every once in a while we'd lose one or two. They'd move away, but about 22, I'd say, would be the maximum.
That would fill this room pretty good, 22 kids and desks.
Yeah, they had the little desk over here started first grade, second grade, third, fourth, and on. As you graduated up, the desk got bigger too. So they always put the bigger kids, which I was over on the next to those windows there, in the last 2 grades. And the teacher sat right over there where that table's at, and we had a big pot-bellied stove right there where that stove's at with a heat shield to keep kids from getting burnt.
Yeah.
But this is the original blackboard. I've been up there a lot of times. And back them years, you'd do your arithmetic and your writing, penmanship. They stressed it. As you can see, the letters up there, and they'd make you copy them as close as you could, and you learned to do that.
Now, this school was originally built in 1904, did I hear?
1875.
See, I wasn't even close. 1875.
Yes, 1875, and it's one of the very few that, and I haven't talked to anybody yet of all the people that's come through so far. I haven't talked to anybody that's seen indoor toilets, what they call indoor plumbing. I mean, we didn't have no plumbing. We had a well, and we'd carry a bucket of water in, and but they had a girl's side and a boy's side, and there's just like a one-hole outside toilet, and we'd use quicklime to dump in to keep any odor, and I don't ever remember having any bad odor.
Now, the I&I Club restored this. How long did it take to get this restored to where it is now?
They've been working on this about 3 years. This is the first year that they've opened it, and they've got it to this point. So I think they've done a good job. Where we're standing right here, there was a lot of the floor sills were dry rotted out because it was on a foundation. But you got to remember this building had been sitting in one spot after it moved off the farm when they sold them and quit the country schools. An individual bought it named Colonel, he was retired Colonel Bill Lukens, and he bought it and moved it around to his place, and they put a foundation. They just used it for storage. So there was a lot of repair to have to do, and they've done a lot of work in here and redid the walls, took the plaster and the lath down and put that up and replaced the floor.
You say some of this wood was from a barn? It's sort of original?
Yeah, they found this wood here on the stage out of a barn, and they redid it. But they look, it is old, but this is the same size that it was when it was a school.
So as kids come through here who are used to modern schools, what's the reaction to this kind of one-room school?
Well, there's been a lot of little fellows come in with their grandparents or their parents, and they can't get over the desk, the way the desks look. And then I always ask them about what's that hole up there on the top of the desk there, and a lot of them, they have no clue. And it's what we used as the inkwell, because we didn't have ballpoint pens or ink pens. You had dip pens, and then there's a little ridge across their front where you lay your pencils in, and you'd set in one behind each other, and so they want to know where the computer is. The computer is those tablets, those chalk tablets that you'd write on.
The computer was your fingers.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So, what is it when you come into a school like this, which is back when you were a kid growing up, and it's been a few years since you're in school? What kind of thoughts do you get?
Well, I'm thankful that we had good teachers. There's all women teachers and very strict, but very fair. And one thing I learned in going to country school, each class there was from 1 to 3 is the most in one class that I recall. So the teacher had time to teach each kid in each class, because there might be 3 kids in one class, but one of them might be a little bit behind the other 2.
Sure.
And so they'd go up and help them. They'd have time to do that before they go to the next class, or they'd get them going, and they'd be over to the next class, and then she'd keep her eye on them, and and if the little kid started to cry or had a problem, she'd go over there and help them. So everybody kind of come along, and she'd help the slower ones. But the teachers was just like an old hen, you might say. She took care of her school, because she was the whole ball of wax when it come to teaching, and she was a janitor, and she was everything. So they all done a good job.
So that's one more thing. You can come to Historic Farm Days and see what turn of the century, but one-room school used to be like. Education was a lot different then.
Very, very plain, but very good. Very.
Here at Penfield, I'm Bob Iverson.